Welcome to the Landing Zone podcast. Real veterans, real stories. We talk about a whole range of different topics, and I'm excited. First of all, I'm excited. Veterans Day month is coming up, and we have a trifecta of podcasts. And this one is with Kimber Hill, and Kimber is a military spouse that is doing some completely amazing things. I'm military spouses are very near and dear to my heart. I was married to a military spouse for 33 years before she passed away, so military spouses are always on my mind. And so, welcome, Kimber, to the Landing Zone podcast.
Thank you, Lloyd, for having me on the landing zone. This is truly an honor. I can't wait to talk to your listener today.
Yeah, great. So, Kimber, I got connected with Kimber through Zach Knight, who's a board member, and he was telling me these amazing things that Kimber is doing, and I was really hesitant to. He was like, "Hey, you got to add her to the board." I was like, "Oh, I don't know. She lives in Florida.
Yeah.
We're really focused on Atlanta and the local area." And then I looked at what Kimber was doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'd be a complete moron if I didn't grab Kimber because she's doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
So, Paul, can you let everybody know where you're living?
Yes. So we are currently in Pensacola, Florida, and we were missed by both hurricanes by about an hour, thank God. But yeah, we also were in Jacksonville 3 years prior to that. And then 3 years prior to that, we were in Pensacola. So join the Navy, see the world, spend almost a decade in Florida. Multiple
Well, there's
Floridian
worse
coasts.
places.
Not a bad place to get stuck. So that's
Uh,
okay. But we love Florida. And, what I do in the military community is I put the military spouse first. I am not a service member, nor have I ever been. My sisters served. Of course, a lot of family members served, including my grandfather. But as far as me, I am a military spouse, and I know what that journey is like. I know how hard it can be. You want to put your service member first. You want to support them in every way possible and hold the family together. And you are lacking resources. You are overlooked, and you're expected to just kind of sit with that and figure out a way to overcome it independently. And I decided we need to stand up for each other, create resources for each other, and platforms where we can make the lifestyle of being an active duty spouse more attainable, easier, and supportive.
yeah, it's the military spouse. Honestly, it's can be a lot tougher than being the service member itself. When we moved, we started off in Charleston, South Carolina, went to Wright-Patterson, Ohio, Edwards, California, Ramstein, Germany, Seymour Johnson,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, then ended in Seymour Johnson. My late wife had to recreate herself
every
every
time.
time. And then there were no, like, each of our assignments were vastly different. So
Yeah.
outside of the first couple, we didn't know anybody at the very next assignment.
You know,
So it was a challenge.
it's a sneaky burden. It's almost invisible, the reinvention process. It's almost invisible, and if you don't pay a lot of attention, it's easy to sweep it under the rug. But I'll tell you where it is visible. It's visible in the compensation that spouse could have earned over the course of 20 years. If you compare that compensation track to the compensation track of your average civilian, it is vastly different. It's like 68% lower. Further, it's visible in self confidence, and it's visible in happiness in general. And if you look at if you look at the service members leaving the military, 40% of those service members say, I would stay in, but my spouse cannot find career happiness or satisfaction. So we're leaving.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, you know how involved I am in the veteran community
Yeah.
with UPS and my role leading veteran talent
Oh, yeah.
acquisition through Vetlanta, through my teaching gig at Emory, through the business I started. So I deal with thousands of veterans every year, and I
Yeah.
can tell you, most of them, even the ones retiring, are leaving because of family stability, whether
Yeah.
it's their spouse or kids. I retired right at the 20-year mark. I retired absolutely loving the Air Force. But the fact of the matter was, through my 20 years of marriage, I was gone. Uh, a light year was 100 days. heavy year was about 240 days a year.
It's nuts.
My oldest son ended up going to three different high schools in three different states.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted the stability. So I would say that number 40% is probably spot on, maybe a little bit low. So, but let's roll it back a little bit. Um, how did your journey in the VIRTFORCE start?
Well, I fell in love with a military guy. Well, I met my husband in first grade. I remember seeing him kind of bebopping across the gym floor, and I just thought, gosh, that's the cutest little boy. And I had such a crush.
Yeah.
But we weren't necessarily high school sweethearts. You know, we dated. He was in ROTC through high school, and I always knew that his favorite thing to play at home was war. You know, he liked to go into his yard and put on um, old BDUs and play soldier. And so I always knew that was a part of him. And he ended up going to college and trying to pursue a degree in engineering and ended up working for NASA. And I was like, okay, well, we dodged that bullet. I don't have to be an active duty service member's wife. And one day after, he kind of landed his dream job at NASA, he came on at home and he said, this isn't it. I'm unfulfilled. And we were not married yet, but he said, would you stay with me and support me if I go into the service? And of course, my answer was yes. I love you. I'm going to do that for you. But I had no idea the implications of what I was taking on. Young, in love, no kids yet, naive. I just didn't understand the whole scope of what it meant to be an active duty service member's spouse. So it took him 2 years to commission. It was hard to get a commissioning in the Navy, but he did get it. And once he got in, he had his sights set from the beginning. I'm so proud of him for that because there were a lot of different paths to get into the Navy, but he picked what I would imagine is the hardest that he could pick. He wanted to be an officer and he wanted to fly aircraft. And he didn't take the easy way out. So that's why it took him so long to get in. He had to wait for the right opportunity. And I was proud of him for being patient and persevering and landing that. And then all the while, I'm working on my career. At that point, we had gotten married and he had commissioned. At that point, I had almost an 8-year career under my belt in government contracting and IT. But it just felt like sand in my hand when we've got our first set of orders. My position that I was working required me to be near government facilities that I had to manually access with my CAT card. And, you couldn't get in without clearance to work. And they just didn't have that in Milton, Florida, where he was going to be going to flight school. It just didn't exist. So, long story short, I realized very fast I was not the only person going through that. I actually attended a spouse club. I joined the spouse club, started going to events weekly. And I remember one event, and this was the day, Lloyd. This was the day that VIRTFORCE formed. I walked into the event, and we're just all hanging out, having a cup of coffee. There's about 20 women there. In walks, really walk is a light term. She bursts into the front door, slams the door behind her. She runs into the group, and it was a safe space. This was women who had hung out many times before, but safe space, runs in, bursts into tears. She's bawling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? We're thinking something really, really serious is wrong. And it was. She had finally passed the bar exam and finally was ready to start her apprenticeship with a law firm. And they rejected it. They ended her apprenticeship, even though she had made all of the requirements, because she was not permanent to the location. They decided she would be a waste of time, a waste of their time. Her talent, her skills, her abilities would be a waste of their time. And that's devastating. It was absolutely devastating. For me, I had transitioned my role into remote work. I worked in IT, and so that was easier for me. But I will tell you this, Lloyd, even doing so, it completely adjusted my career trajectory with that company, and it put me on a non-promotable path. Okay, not I was then operational and functional, only working in different functionals, and I was no longer promotable where I was headed toward executive leadership at that company prior. And so I was just like, you guys, there has got to be a better way. And I remember asking everybody in that room, hey, who here works remotely other than me? I'm just curious. I want to know. And only two other people raised their hand. One of them had found legitimate remote employment. The other person worked for a family business, and they were keeping her on until she was ready to leave and go do something else. Not like a passion or career field opportunity there. So out of 20 people, two were working remotely, and both were in non-promotable positions. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. We've got to fix it. So we built VIRTFORCE, and what VIRTFORCE does is it takes the active duty spouse and opens them up to career opportunity with companies who have distributed teams already. It's a core competency for them to have remote and distributed teams. And so we are doing boots on the ground work to go out and talk to these companies and say, hey, we already know that you have a remote customer service desk. We already know that you have remote property adjusters. And we already know that you promote from within. We already know that this is a demographic that would make sense for you. Do some good and hire people who really need these remote opportunities. And then we introduce them to the military demographic. And the military spouse blows them away every time, every single
Yep.
time.
We have a common friend, Garrett
Yeah.
Mullins, who's definitely a client of yours, and I can tell you he is absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the spouses coming through VirdForce.
Every time.
So I think it's a no-brainer for companies that have those remote opportunities. How do you find the spouses?
They find me. I swear to you, I do nothing. I do zero advertising. I do zero showing up at, events with tables. We started as a word of mouth organization. I think in under one summer, we had over 4,000 candidates. And now we are here 6 years later, we have close to 250,000 people within our network, and over 100,000 of those are actively seeking work and our
Holy
military spouses.
cow!
When I
Wow,
tell
that's
you,
awesome.
yeah, we have, and they're incredible. Lloyd, they're incredible. Top talent available to you if you will just consider hiring remotely. And Travelers Insurance is one of our clients, and they've done it. They took a role that was traditionally on site for decades, no exceptions. And they said, we want to do something about the military spouse employment epidemic. And what we want to do is we want to give 10 positions to military spouses. One position, 10 openings, let me clarify. And we formed a partnership, a quick pilot, gave them 10 military spouses out of Hawaii to work this position remotely. It blew up. They outperformed all of their on-site peers. They ran circles around them. And in doing so, Travelers, dedicated that position kind of indefinitely only for active duty, because that's the demographic that it makes sense for. The active duty spouse has the opportunity to take that role in a remote capacity. As of today, indefinitely, things could change. Things are always changing, and we strive to work with organizations to ensure that we're meeting their needs, and business needs also change. But that's been a huge win. Hundreds of military spouses hired in that role as of today.
So, so how many employees do you have, Kimber?
Me, I would have to count. We tight ship. We're under 20.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, that's still significant, under 20. So, do you guys offer any services other than matching the spouses with the companies?
Oh yeah, we have 3 primary services that we offer. What I was just talking about with Travelers Insurance and how we've partnered with them is a recruitment marketing relationship, which tends to be really effective for organizations that are very big, already have their own internal HR departments and their own ways of recruiting. And really, they just need to reach the military spouse demographic. The other services that we offer are staffing and direct hire. So, in our staffing model, we have a few areas of expertise, which are listed on our website, kind of at the bottom, but you can see our competencies in executive assistance, bookkeeping, social media, a lot of back of house and front of house operational activities, sales, BD. those areas are where our military spouses can step in and work for you. And so essentially in that circumstance, if that's what you're looking for, you would meet with me or meet with one of our team members. We would scope the role and what you need and set up a few interviews with you with some of our team members who are cleared to go to work. Generally, we see a lot of military spouses stay in those positions very long term. They love it. They absolutely love it. And our clients love it. It's a big win. It's a huge success for both. And then we have our direct hire model. It's similar to talent marketing where we're doing the matching, but in that circumstance, we're also performing full cycle recruitment. So that includes first round interviews, aptitude tests, work screenings. So effectively, we do all the work and all the heavy lifting, and then we hand you your matched candidates. They're guaranteed. They're guaranteed for 60 days. You can hire as many people as you want. It's very innovative the way that we have it structured and priced. Some of our clients have accused us of breaking down the recruiting industry because we want to make it so accessible that it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, completely amazing. Do you remember who the first person that you placed was?
I do.
Okay,
Yep.
tell me
And
about that story.
I placed 2 team members with an attorney in 2018. Nope. Yeah, it was either 2017 or 2018. And I remember some of the girls that we had started the organization with were on a 3-way call with me. And they were actually the first client who made us realize that we might have a business. And they said, "Hey, can we pay you to get matched?" And I was like, "Hang on, let me get so and so and so and so on a call here." And we were like, "Yeah, this is what we could do for you." We placed them, and they're still there today. 2 spouses with the attorney.
Wow.
I talked to them several times this year. Actually, they're still there.
Yeah, great story. So, what advice could you offer for a military spouse to find that next career?
My first piece of advice is if you are feeling desperate and you're having those emotions of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I need money right now. You have to find a way to separate from that and ditch the desperation. So, my best piece of advice there is if it's that dire and that urgent, go DoorDash because you are not going to find your unicorn job until you can kind of mentally separate, relax, and get intentional about what you want in your life. So get intentional. What that means is I have education pathways and programs that will teach you how to narrow down what you're looking for and then how to go find it. My second piece of advice there is to go join our job board, jobs.virtforce.us, sign up for our alerts, and start getting to know our platform, getting to know how we work, and checking out our openings every week. They are so rapidly filled that they change every week. So, what's up this week is not going to be there next week because our candidates they're just teaming. They're like a bunch of little tadpoles. Have you ever walked up to a pond and seen like 1,000 tadpoles just wiggling? They're all waiting to grow their legs. And we invite you to join that and get involved.
What about employers? How can they find you, Kimber?
VIRTFORCE.us is where employers can find me, or you can message me on LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn.com. You can find me just searching Kimber Hill and shoot me a message there. I'd love to talk to you about why this demographic is amazing because it is. We have tangible metrics that show 20% increase in quality assurance in under 90 days. We have metrics that show 3 times the amount of retention from hiring a military spouse than an average hire from Indeed or ZipRecruiter. And we see about, I could go on that. I'll stop there. But if you need some
That's good stuff.
convincing, if you need some convincing, I've got all the data you need to pilot this and give it a shot. And that's really all I ask from our employers is this is not charity. Hiring military spouses, it just isn't. It is an untapped talent pool, and we will show you how to access it, and we will help you decide which positions are right for it. But you see tangible metrics and tangible results. Don't do this because you want to feel good. Make a business decision. That is good business.
Yeah, that's tremendous advice. That's I walk around UPS all the time and ask people, "Why do you think we're hiring veterans?"
Yeah.
And, you get answers from all over the place. And I said, "Hey, look, those are great answers, but the fact of the matter, we're hiring veterans because they give us a competitive advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Our return on
Fair.
investment is going to be there." So the tremendous advice, Kimber. So what is next for Kimber Hill and for VirtForce?
Well, we are continuing to grow and serve our community members. At VirtForce, we started with the military spouse first and the needs of the military spouse first, and we are continuing to do that. So we are building out programming within VirtForce and sister organizations and sister brands where we are serving the needs of the mil spouse. We are the leader in military spouse talent, but more than that, we are the military spouse's best friend. So if you're a military spouse, we want you to get to know us and everything that we're working on because everything we do is for you.
So so I know you're extremely busy as a small business owner
Yeah.
and you're a military spouse. So you're keeping the foundation at home. You got small babies,
Yes.
but what do you do for fun?
I love hanging out with my kids. They are
Yeah.
so much fun. So doing things that make them smile is a blast. So this past weekend, we have taken a trailer and we built it into a hayride trailer. We had to put like a fence around it and we decorated it with spider webs and old Mardi Gras lights. And we're going to be doing a neighborhood hayride for the kids on Thursday for trick or treating. So that will be fun. The weekend before that, we took him to a pumpkin patch, and the weekend before that, we did something else fall related. I can't remember, but over the summer, we were out on the boat a lot, just chasing those little toddler smiles. That's what we
Yeah,
do.
so kids are cool, but just wait. And it's a long ways off. Just wait till you have grandkids.
Oh.
Grandkids are so much better.
Why are grandkids better, Lloyd?
Oh, because you get to do all that stuff, then give them back to their parents.
Okay. Sometimes I invite my parents to come to town just so I can hand off my kids. I'm like, I need to go to sleep. My parents,
It's
they live in North Alabama now, and so we're not that far away from each other at this duty station. And I'll just call them about every 6 weeks and be like, "I need it. I need the help. Come spend the
yeah,
night.
that's
Watch my kids overnight. While I'm here, I'll be here, but I need to go to sleep."
that's wonderful. Absolutely, I remember. Oh, I remember just being totally exhausted with kids.
Oh, yeah.
So
We were so tired
yeah,
last night. My husband's getting me up super early. He gets me up at 5:30. We go work out together and, we have a gym at home, and we do that while the kids are asleep because we've realized there's just no getting that kind of personal time in while they're
yeah.
awake. Um, anyway, I'm so exhausted from waking up that early that I'm telling you, I conked at 8:30. 8:30, my toddler was, like, on top of me, shaking me, trying to wake me up, and I was like, "It's not happening. Roll over, lay down. I would no bedtime tonight. You're sleeping with me. I cannot stay awake."
Well, you don't look exhausted, so you look great. So hang in there.
Thank
So
you.
I'm sure you're like a duck where your legs are going a million miles per hour
Oh,
underneath of
yeah.
it.
From
So
from 5:30 AM to 8:30 PM, we're kicking. We're kicking. We're kicking. We're kicking, but at 8:30, the duck is
uh,
passed out. She can't keep going.
yeah, tremendous. Well, I got to say thank you. So thank you for taking care of our military spouses. Deep down, thank you.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
said, military spouses are near and dear. So keep it up. So keep growing, keep doing big things. Thank you so much for being a part of the Vetlanta board.
Thank you.
So the
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see where the road takes you, and not just the Navy, but where
Yeah.
it takes your businesses. So
Thank you, Lloyd.
very cool.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be on the Vetlanta board. I'm looking forward to the December event. I hope that everybody comes. If you're listening to this, make sure that you come to the Vetlanta event on December 4th. Did I get the date right?
Yeah, December 4th at
Okay.
the Home Depot headquarters here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Make sure you sign up for on vetlanta.org.
Yes.
And the theme is a wonderful theme. It's so pertinent to our conversation. The theme's employment.
Yep.
So we're going to have some mini job fair. We're going to have some high levels within the Department of Labor and the
Mhm.
VA, and we're going to talk about stuff like spouse employments, and we're going to talk about a TAP and a nonprofit partnership. So really looking forward to that that summit. So hey, Kimber, how do you want to close this out?
I wanna close us out. I really wanted to close us out by inviting everyone to Vetlanta, but we've done that, so how about a joke?
Oh, you got a joke. And don't lean on me for a joke. You probably got some good mom jokes in there.
Yeah, I do. Knock, knock.
Yeah. Who's there?
Boo.
Boo hoo.
Boo, boo. Boo-hoo,
Boo
boo-boo.
boo.
This is what my toddler told me yesterday when she got home from school.
uh,
She has a boo-hoo, like, "Wah, wah, boo-hoo, boo-boo."
Yeah, tremendous. That's such a mom joke.
It is a mom joke. You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, they keep it up. So I'm going to close out like I always say, close it out. So thank you for joining the Landing Zone podcast. Be safe, be kind, and be remarkable.